In episode 145 of the Guitar Music Theory podcast, I have another installment of How Does This Song Work featuring Satellite by Dave Matthews Band. Greetings, guitar engineers. Welcome to the Guitar Music Theory podcast. I am your host, Desi Cerna, author of Fretboard Theory, Guitar Theory for Dummies, Guitar Rhythm and Technique for Dummies, Guitar Picking Mechanics, and more. And today I have another installment of How Does This Song Work featuring Satellite by Dave Matthews Band. Now, I've posted a video to my social media profiles where I teach you the main riff, and I provide some tablature and I provide some neck diagrams so you can see the scale pattern that the riff fits into. And I also explain how you can use this riff as a great fingering exercise. I show you the way that Dave Matthews plays it, but then I show you how you can play it in some other positions using some different fingerings so you can work on improving your dexterity. You can find that video by just searching Desi Cerna Satellite on YouTube or Facebook. You can also just go to my website, and I posted it to my blog along with some images of the neck diagrams and tablature that I use in the video in case you want to have a closer look at those things and learn the riff. Here in this audio-only podcast, I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that I go over in the video, but then I'm actually going to talk about some other parts of the song and give you a general overview of the key, the chords, and the progression. This song is a great one to learn because it uses a 3/4 time signature, some stretchy chord fingerings, and the harmonized major scale. It's going to be a great discussion as always, but before we get started, let me direct all of my podcast listeners over to my website, guitarmusictheory.com. Answer the question I ask you about your playing, and I'll send you free custom video instruction that is calibrated to your current level. Whether you're a beginner still needing to learn the basics, or you need help with finger picking, playing bar chords, guitar soloing, or you want to delve deeply into music theory, I have a free course for you. I can put you on a plan to fill gaps in your knowledge and fill gaps in your playing so you can make progress, move forward, and reach your music goals. Enroll in your free video course now at guitarmusictheory.com. You can click on the link in the podcast show notes. All right, so we are ready to dive in. We're talking about the song Satellite by Dave Matthews Band. So I've got a video on YouTube if you want to learn this riff. And I've got some tab and some neck diagrams on my blog as well, so you can go find that. But let's talk about this. In the video, what I do is I teach the main riff here, and that's it. I don't do a full how does this song work in the video. I teach the riff, and when you see the way that Dave Matthews plays it, it's played with notes that are spread across 5 frets. So you're in like a 3-note per string pattern, like I teach in Guitar Theory for Dummies, major scale pattern, like I teach in Guitar Theory for Dummies, or I teach in the video version of Fretboard Theory. So you've got these stretchy guitar fingerings, and the way that this is put together, it's almost like a fingering and picking exercise too, because your right hand has to follow. So after teaching the riff, I decided to show you how you could play like some of the same notes in a couple different positions, just to challenge your fingers more and to work on some dexterity. And if you have been listening to this podcast, you know that I'm generally not a fan of exercises for the sake of playing exercises, but they can have their place from time to time. And some people might enjoy them more than I do. So I tell people, if you enjoy them, don't let me spoil your fun. I typically am not a fan of exercises. I like to take parts from songs and turn them into exercises. And so that's what I did with Satellite. I taught myself how to play it in a couple different positions using some different fingerings. And I found it very challenging and fun. And so I walk you through that in the video. Now, here in this podcast, we're actually going to talk more about other parts of the song and its basic structure. But the song is in the key of A flat, which is a little unusual. So think about an A flat at the 4th fret of the 6th string, and like a standard bar chord, and then a 3-note per string scale pattern. And this is straight out of the major scale. I'm missing some notes here. It's jumping around. There's a lot of movement, and you're kind of string hopping here and stuff, but it's actually right in the major scale. It's also in a 3/4 time signature. That means that there are 3 quarter notes per measure, and you count it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this song is a little unusual. 3/4 time is not as common as 4/4 time, which is also called common time. You're playing in the key of A flat, and guitarists don't typically play in flat keys like this. And then you're using some stretchy chord fingerings where you're stretching across 5 frets. So I'm going to read a little bit from an article that I found on musicradar.com, and it's entitled, Dave Matthews explains how Robert Fripp inspired his hit song Satellite and developed the guitar's role in his writing. So here we'll get a little insight of where Dave Matthews got these ideas. The article says, Dave Matthews says, Satellite was a challenging lick. I like to watch Robert Fripp and how he played. He has got this crazy way of playing. His hands are all spread out, and he gets this coverage, which is unnecessary if your guitar is tuned traditionally. Nevertheless, the idea of spreading his, then the article goes on to say, nevertheless, the idea of spreading his fretting hand got him exploring melodic ideas combined with the desire to break out of traditional rock keys. Matthews goes on to say, another friend of mine had said, why do rock bands do everything in the key of A, E, C? Why don't they ever do anything in A flat or E flat? And it's because all the chords are down there, adds Matthews. So that made me think, if I'm doing this weird spread out thing, I can do a pattern that works, that looks kind of like Robert Fripp, but is unnecessary and is in A flat. The article goes on to say, the song ended up being a stepping stone towards a new mindset. Matthews says, the way I first learned to play it and sing it at the same time was like an exercise. I would play it over and over again, and I would talk as I was going, making up silly licks to it. I'm sorry. I would talk as I was going, making up silly lyrics to it. My bad. It taught me I can separate my voice from my guitar. One could be the marching orders, and the others could be singing and dancing, flying around the structure a little bit more. So there you go. So when Matthews wrote this, he was intentionally trying to do something that was a little out of the box. He was inspired by Robert Fripp. If you're not familiar with Robert Fripp, he is an English musician, songwriter, record producer, and author, best known as the guitarist, founding, and longest-lasting member of the progressive rock band King Crimson. So that was the inspiration for Matthews here. And this is one of the reasons why I think Satellite is a good song to learn, at least a portion of it. I reference it in my music theory instruction because it's a good example of using the major scale. But you also get introduced to 3/4 time. You can introduce them to some fingerings that are a little outside the box from what we're typically used to. And it works as a great fingering exercise as well. So I cover all of that in the video. I show you how Matthews plays it, and I show you how you could play it in some other positions using some different fingerings. And like I said earlier on my website blog, I've got the images of the tablatures and the neck diagrams that I use in the video, so you could go straight there if you want to pull that up and reference that as you work some of these parts out. But here in the podcast, I want to talk about some of the other sections of the song, like the chorus and the bridge and what's happening musically. So we've got the verse. We're in 3/4 time. We're in A flat. And let me pull up some tracks here so I can play a little bit of the next section of the song, and I'll talk about what's happening there. And by the way, I'm not using the actual recording of the song. Instead, I went to karaoke-version.com, and I found that they had a high-quality backing track there. So I purchase stuff from them all the time. And so that's what I'm going to be using here. This will enable me to isolate some of these tracks, and also it may help me avoid any copyright issues by using the original recording. So let's take a listen to how this song moves from the verse into the chorus.
The mother station, winter's cold, spring races, and the calm away by the storm is chasing everything that needs replacing. Look up, look down, all around, hey, satellite.
All right, then it goes back into the verse and that regular riff. Okay, so I'm going to break this down to just the most basic chords. I'm not focusing on what's specifically happening in the recording. And let's take this opportunity to do a little ear training. So you know that we're in A flat, and there is our one chord, A flat, as we would say. And here are the basic changes. What might you guess those to be? And I'm thinking about you figuring out the numbers if you're familiar with chord progressions and playing by numbers and the harmonized major scale, where you take a scale and you stack its notes to make the chords, the major and the minor chords. What numbers do you think this progression is following? So let's start with that first change. That's one, that's the first note in the scale, so think do, re, mi, fa, so, and so on, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 1 to 4. 1, 4. Or do, re, mi, fa, do, fa. We don't even need to think about the notes right now. I just want you to think about the numbers, actually. So 1, 4, and then next we have, what is that? Let's go back to A flat. If this is 1, what is this? That's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or do, re, re. And then how about this one? So this is 2. What do you guess that one to be? If you guessed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you are correct. 2, 5 is the second half of this progression. 1, 4, 2, 5, 1, 4, 2, 5. Something else that's really interesting about this music is how the feel kind of changes here. As I listen to the verse, even though the notation that I found online is notated in 3/4, I kind of feel like the verses are more 6/8, and the chorus is more 3/4. So let me play a little bit of the verse and the chorus here, and just explain how I'm feeling it and the difference between those two time signatures.
satellite.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reason why I feel it that way is because I feel these accents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kick, snare, kick, snare. So it's, I don't know, maybe this is like cut 3/4 cut time, but I really feel it more like that. That's the feel that I'm getting out of this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But when we get into the chorus, I feel it more in threes. So let's keep going here.
The station, winter's cold.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I mean, it can still be in 3/4. I'm not saying that the notation is wrong for putting the whole song in 3/4. It certainly works out that way mathematically. Just feel-wise, I'm kind of feeling that the 6 and the verses, but I'm feeling threes here. Well, there's a little bit more to it than that. In the chorus, I'm actually feeling like a 3/4 pattern. So that would be this. So it's like, what can I do here? Can I tap on my guitar and tap with my foot? So here's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then also let me tap 4s here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to do a 3 over, or actually this would be a 3/2, 2, and it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Foot is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. My hands tapping 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is where you take 2 beats in your 4/4 measure and you put 3 beats over it evenly spread out. And then you put another 3 beats evenly spread out over the second half of your 4/4 measure. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 3/2. That's what that would be, I believe. Is it 3/4 because it's 3/4 over 4/4, or is it 3/2 because it's 3/2 beats? I think it's 3/2. I should know that. I'm the music theory guy. Well, I don't do, I guess, enough notation. But I'm definitely hearing that feeling. Let me back this up again, the recording, and I'm going to tap 4 with my foot, and then I'm going to tap 3 with my hand. Okay, well, we're still in the verse here. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Are you hearing that? And the drummer is really kind of playing around with different feels and accents there. So I think that drummer is really, going back and forth between some different feels: 6/8, 3/4, 3/4, 4. That's the way I kind of hear that and feel that, and it's something interesting about the music. And it's something that might throw you off if you are not used to playing songs in 3/4, because it's not considered a common time signature. 4/4 is the most common time signature. Even if you are familiar with playing songs in 3/4, this still might throw you off because the way that they are toying with the feel and the rhythms here, where sometimes it feels like 6/8, sometimes it feels like 3/4, sometimes it feels like 4, sometimes it feels like 3/4. So you might try that exercise. If you've never done that, you could take 2 hands. With your left hand, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you keep that going, and with your other hand you play 3/2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Next, I want to talk about some of the parts that Dave Matthews specifically plays over that chorus section. Okay, I'm going back to the karaoke track I got from karaoke-version.com here, and I was able to, I can download different versions of the track. I can get like the full instrumental track with the vocals, without the vocals, or just the guitars by itself. So this is not the original recording, but I'm assuming it's based very closely on the original recording. And listen to what the guitars are doing. I'm going to back it up a little bit. You'll hear it in the verse, and you'll then hear it come into the chorus section. Okay, and so on. You know, I didn't mention that, like, we have there's some lead over that verse section, you know. That's straight right out of the scale. So since you're in the A flat major key and scale, if you're going to add additional melodies or harmony parts or something, you're going to draw from the scale first, so that those little licks there that you hear with the guitar and some of the other instrumentation are straight out of the scale. Okay, so that chorus section is really cool. It's really beautiful. And it sounds like there's a couple of parts going on in there. One of them is something like this. And you can see I'm struggling with this. I'm going to try that again. So you can find the official tablature at Ultimate Guitar, but I didn't think it was accurate. But I found what appears to be more accurate tablature at the website sheetmusicdirect.com. So, but then I also pulled up some live videos and watched Dave Matthews play it, and I noticed that he played it live a little differently than I see in the official tablature. Maybe the official tablature was off. It's difficult to hear what's happening. You got layers of instrumentation. There's some out of the ordinary stuff here. So maybe they just did the best job they could with this tablature. Or maybe they were spot on, but Matthews just did things differently live. But it's still very similar. So I'm going to mainly just focus on the part that I saw Dave Matthews play live. As I'm looking at the tablature, I can see that we have that part that I just played, and then you can hear that there's another guitar in there arpeggiating some chords, you know, with some higher end stuff getting up into a little higher register. And when you put it together, it's really neat and really beautiful. But what Dave Matthews does in the live versions is he does this. So we already talked about the basic changes, right? We talked about A flat. I'm sorry, we talked about 1, 4, 2, 5. I didn't talk about the actual notes. We're in the A flat scale, so the actual notes are A flat, D flat, that's B flat minor, and then E flat. So if it helps, think about the A natural key for a second. And if you play 1, 4, 5, 2, 5, and if we stick with the chord qualities that naturally occur in the major scale, when you learn the harmonized major scale, C fretboard theory or guitar theory for dummies, chapter 6, you know that 1 and 4 are major, 2 is minor, 5 is major. So in the key of A, that's A, D, B minor, E. A, D, B minor, E. Well, we're not in A, we're in A flat, so just put a flat after all those. A flat, D flat, B flat minor, E flat. A flat, D flat, B flat minor, E flat. And Dave Matthews plays. So for the A flat, I don't know where he got this idea, but he just kind of slid up and then went into an A flat power chord, like an octave higher from here. But all these notes are straight out of the scale. When he goes to that 4-chord D flat, instead of playing just a plain major, he does this, a little stretchy thing where it's a root, fifth, and then that'd like be a 9. I'm stretched across 5 frets here. So when he goes to the B flat minor, he holds these notes that, well, what's interesting here is that these notes, that's the A flat power chord. A flat, E flat. And then this becomes part of the 4-chord D flat. Then he holds these notes again, but he puts a B flat in the bass, so now it's part of the B flat chord. And then he holds them again, and it becomes part of the 5-chord E flat. So all the chords are holding an A flat and an E flat. That's the tonic and dominant pitch. That's a very common composition technique where you hold the root and fifth of your tonic over the other chords. I talk about this at the end of Fretboard Theory Volume 2, pedal tones, pedal point. It's really common. I talk about different ways it happens in music. So there's our A flat power chord. We're going to put an A flat in the bass, then D flat, then B flat, then E flat. It's a cool sound. Got some common tones there with all these changes. And that's 1, 4, 2, 5. You put in a little strum pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like I said, a little out of the box. I mean, it's all just major scale stuff, but it's not your typical stock standard chord shapes that you may be used to playing. So learning this song, Satellite, or at least some portions of it, will just kind of teach you how to do a little bit more with things that you already know and teach you how to play and think a little outside of the box. Okay, so we're going to move on to the bridge section of the song. So it basically goes like verse, chorus, back into the verse and the main riff, and then it heads into a new section, the bridge. Here we go.
Rest high above the clown restriction. Television, we bounce round the world. And while I spend these hours, 5 senses reeling, I laugh about this weatherman satellite eyes.
Okay, and then it goes back into the verse section there too. I'm going back and forth between some different versions of the track that some have the guitars and some don't. So the bridge section is and they lead into it with shoot. Wow. I've done a lot of practicing and playing for this as I prepared for the video and featured that, and I think I've worn myself out here. And then it goes. So just a little extra climb up the scale from the second degree. Where the riff normally starts, you know, where they put that break, then you go to the second degree of the scale. So, So, let's talk about what's happening here. Use your ear again. Here's some more ear training. Here's our 1 chord, A flat. So what's this? 1 chord A flat. What's this? If you guessed the 3-chord minor, you are correct. 1, 2, 3, or do, re, mi. So 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's minor, it's diatonic. That's the way it naturally happens when you stack the notes of the scale. What chord is that? Here's 1, 3. What is that? One more time. 1, 3. If you guessed 4, you're correct. It's 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do, re, mi, fa. 1, 3, 4. And the 4 chord, instead of playing it as its usual plain major, I think Matthews plays it as a sus2. If you think about, so I'm playing D flat here. These notes are A flat, C minor, D flat. If you think about your index holding D flat at the 4th fret of the 5th string and then just doing a standard A form bar chord, most people play this where you flatten out your ring finger. You want to take the notes on the 2nd string down 2 frets. So it's like you fret a power chord and then you bar. You remove the 3rd and you put the 2nd in there. So that would be a D flat sus2. Oh, what is that? One more time. So we've got 1, 3, 4. What is that? 1, 3, 4. If you guessed 2, you are correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. 1, 3, 4, 2. 1, 3, 4, 4, 2. 1, 3, 4, 4, 2. And they have some breaks there, and the whole band locks up on that. Let's listen to just the guitars. Now you're going to hear that part that I played, but then it's kind of overshadowed because you got this kind of chimey, arpeggiated, strummy stuff over the top of it. Here's the way that they did it with the karaoke track. So 1, 3, 4, 4, 2, 1, 3, 4, 4, 2. And it goes back to the main riff. You can hear there's some other guitar tracks there. So in the studio version of the Dave Matthews song, yes, it does sound like there's additional guitar tracks in there, and it may be Dave, it may be his sideman, I forget his name now, who added some of the lead stuff there. But when I watched the live versions, and you can just find some great live versions on YouTube where you can clearly see Dave Matthews' hands and see how he's strumming these parts. So he just focused on this part. So that's what I'm going to focus on here. I really kind of want to give you a summary of stuff. I don't want to get too far into the details, but you can hear as we listen to that track that you're kind of, just following these chords in some different, registers, something like that. I mean, don't quote me on it, but it's not hard to figure out how you could do something similar. Okay, so let's recap. If you break this down, we basically have 3 parts to the song. So we've got the verse, and which is the main riff. Then you have the chorus. Chorus. Then you have the bridge section. And you can kind of piece together the whole song. It just goes in, the little instrumental sections are always that verse riff. So it's basically verse, chorus, bridge. And I think it's like verse, chorus. It goes back to the bridge, and the song ends. And we're in A flat, and our progression here is, when you're on that riff, you can kind of think of it as would you think of this as a chord progression? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. But I definitely hear a chord progression when you get to that verse with 1, 4, 2, 5. And of course, when you get to that bridge, 1, 3, 4, 4, 2, 1, 3, 4, 4, 2, 1. All right, so that's my take on Satellite. It's a great song to learn because it's a great example of using major scale patterns on guitar. It's got a 3/4 time signature. It uses some stretchy chord fingerings, and it also uses some chords that are a little out of the ordinary. Don't forget that you can find a video lesson teaching you the main riff on Facebook and YouTube. Just search Desi Cerna Satellite and you'll find it. All right, podcast episode 145 is a wrap. Don't forget, if you have not yet gone to my website and enrolled in a free video course, you can go to guitarmusictheory.com, answer the question I ask you about your playing, and I'll send you free custom video instruction that's calibrated to your current level. Whether you're a beginner, still need to learn the basics, or you need help with bar chords, finger picking, playing lead guitar, playing worship guitar, or you just want to delve deeply into music theory, I have a free course for you. I can put you on a plan to fill gaps in your knowledge and fill gaps in your playing so you can progress, move forward, and reach your music goals. Enroll in your free video course now at guitarmusictheory.com. You can click on the link in the podcast show notes. Also, don't forget that I have many books for sale at Amazon.com. Just go there and search my name, Desi Cerna, and you'll find titles such as Fretboard Theory, Guitar Theory for Dummies, Guitar Rhythm and Technique for Dummies, Guitar Picking Mechanics, and more. All right, guitar engineers, thanks for listening. I'm Desi Cerna. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to this podcast, give it a 5-star rating, and leave a review if you can. Then, keep playing and stay tuned for more.